Good morning. How are you doing?
I could have been better.
How many are you now, the Pan-Africanists?
I really don't know.
You don't know?
But I think that every African should be a Pan-Africanist.
Can you readjust the microphone for me?
Except the sellouts.
There are sellouts?
Oh, yes.
Where? How do I identify them?
Oh, those who antecedents sold out Kwame Nkrumah to the CIA remain sellouts. Those whose antecedents ensured that Patrice Lumumba was murdered are sellouts. Those who ensured that Modibo Keita was arrested simply because he was crafting a new African image for the French-speaking part of the continent are sellouts. Those who ensured that Sekou Touré, who taught alongside Kwame Nkrumah that Africa should unite, and that if the entire Africa is not ready to unite, they should start a tripartite unity: Ghana, Mali, and Guinea. Those who ensured that Sekou Touré was ousted, they are sellouts. Those who machinated to even kill military man Thomas Sankara are sellouts. Those who ensured that Muammar Gaddafi was killed and displayed like a piece of meat in the mall are sellouts. And so the sellouts are many. And these sellouts are the greedy ones within our society who feel that they have a duty to become rich at the expense of our continent and our nations. So these are the sellouts, and those whose stock in trades is to become wealthy, irrespective of the consequence on the rest of us, are the ones I describe as the sellouts of the Pan-African agenda.
Today is Africa Day. What does that mean to you?
I feel very sad. First, let me start from the sad note.
Why?
I feel very sad that Ghana in 1958, just a year after we got our independence, rallied to ensure that other African countries got independence. So 8 independent African countries were called into Ghana on the 25th of May. So we can deliberate on how to expand and give a revolutionary push towards the decolonization of the continent. And in 1963, at Addis Ababa, Kwame Nkrumah forced the issue for continental unity. And eventually, when continental unity was not being accepted because the likes of Julius Nyerere were of the view that we should go the gradualist approach, Kwame Nkrumah said that we should not leave the African meeting without coming up with an organization of sorts. And it is that organization of sorts that eventually became the Organization of African Unity, so that we still could have a common platform to discuss the issues concerning our continent. Before then, Kwame Nkrumah had spoken about the need for the continent of Africa to have a continental currency. He had spoken about the need to have a continental central bank. He had talked about the need to harness the potentials of Africa, particularly the Ingab River in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is capable of providing the entire electricity needs of Africa and still export about 80% to the rest of the world. That project, the World Bank, the IMF are not willing to put in resources to finance it, because if they do that, Africa will become energy self-sufficient.
Right.
As we speak today, several years when Kwame Nkrumah spoke about continental unity, in 1993, people gathered in Germany and called themselves Europeans, jettisoned their individual European currencies. The Germans threw away their Dutch mark, the French threw away their currency, the Italians threw away their currency, and all of them rallied, and today they have what they call the euro, which euro is now competing favorably with the dollar, and therefore no vacillations in the dollar has any major impact of the euro. So if you sit back and watch that, there was an African political prophet called Kwame Nkrumah who could foresee the power of a currency, a united currency. And that united currency had the potential of taking away the depreciations that we suffer in our African currencies. Hey, if I have to leave Ghana and travel to Nigeria, I cannot spend my CD.
Yes.
So what do I do? I have to convert into a dollar or into euro or probably into the yuan. When I get to Nigeria, I cannot spend the dollar on the streets of Nigeria. So what do?
Naira.
I move and go and change into Naira. The process of converting your currency from CD to dollar to Naira and back to dollar, when you come back, you lose money. Right? You make your currency weaker.
True.
Kwame Nkrumah foresaw this and spoke about it. Kwame Nkrumah told us that, look, it was not sufficient to say that we have sacked the white man from our soil, and that they will come back either in their multinational or bilateral forms, and that they will even become more dangerous than when they were present with us. The IMF and World Bank were not formed to solve African problems. They were formed to solve the European problems after the World War. Right?
That's true.
So if those institutions were formed, why is it that they are not the solution to Europe and America any longer? And it has to take developing countries to be the ones to be going to the IMF and World Bank. So Kwame Nkrumah saw this and told us, we refuse to listen.
Why?
Well, some people wanted to become rich. You are not aware of the Afrifers, the Harleys, and the Kotokas who became rich, taking over $30 million so that they can ensure that Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown. They took money at the expense of all of us and kaput the African agenda. And so this is where we are. And the major problem of Kwame Nkrumah was not the expansionist or the interventionist projects that he was putting for Ghana and Africa, but the enlightenment that he was giving to the continent of Africa. Unfortunately, today, how many people will be in the position to enlighten Africa? And the few that you wanted to identify within the continent of Africa as Pan-Africanists cannot win political office. I heard him speak so passionately about Professor PLO Lumumba.
Right.
PLO Lumumba cannot win an election in Kenya.
Why?
Because the forces external will come at him, because they know that when he wins, the narrative will change. It will be an African narration. And so the forces external to the continent will come at him, and then they will marshal and ensure that he doesn't get resources or he is stifled in a manner that some people will be supported to win. The likes of Kwesi Pratt and Co cannot win political office in Ghana. You know. In fact, you cannot win political office if you choose to become one, because of the passion with which we speak on the issues that confront us. So today, my sadness is this. Ghana, 1958-1963, that led this revolutionary push for the decolonization of our continent. On a day like this day should be Ghana's day. This day, we should celebrate it better than we do on 6th March. Because Kwame Nkrumah said that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. That total liberation day is the African Liberation Day, 25th of May. For President Akufo-Addo to willy-nilly go to Parliament and say that AU Day should become a commemorative day. So today, what are they doing?
We'll make speeches.
If they even make any speech that will be of substance, will not worry me. They will just go and then hoist their flags. The AU representative in Ghana will speak. If you are not careful, the Minister for Foreign Affairs will not even appear there. Then we walk. Aren't we ashamed? So I feel very scandalized that, look, if you go around the continent, everybody was looking into Ghana as the hope, and President Akufo-Addo just came and bastardized that hope.
Is the United States of Africa still achievable?
To the extent that Africans continue to struggle through the desert and to cross the oceans in search of greener pastures and are treated worse than animals, it is possible. To the extent that our currencies are still a shadow of one another, the United States of Africa is a possibility. To the extent that we, 54, 55 African heads of states, will have to go to China to be begging for crumbs for the development of our villages that we call countries. It means that there is the need to rally our energies together. It's a possibility. To the extent that anytime there is an issue of instability in any part of the world, in fact, any part of Africa, it has to take European, American forces to come and want to help our situation out. Then African unity and the United States of Africa remains but the potent vehicle upon which Africa and its people can get total liberation. Africa is not out there to compete with the world. Africa is not out there to outclass any part of the world. Africa simply wants to bring honor and dignity to itself by ensuring that our young people, when they finish their various institutions of learning, acquiring their various skills, they'll be able to get opportunity to apply them so they can make a living. So we will not go to the IMF, right? And when we don't go to the IMF, we will not suffer the kind of conditionalities that they impose on us, including...
It's easier said than done. We need to recalibrate. It will take us a lot of time to recalibrate.
If you listen to Thomas...
Looking like the mess that has been created.
If you listen to Thomas Sankara in 1987 when he went to Addis Ababa, and he said that, look, the debt that we are having is a colonial legacy, right? And that is a way of conquest. And these Europeans who established this bank, don't forget that the IMF and the World Bank are like twins in New York.
That's right.
Right? Why are they not established in Africa? The United States, when they are in the economic mess, they don't go to the IMF or the World Bank. They come out of their problems, finding their own indigenous solutions. Why is it that we think that an institution that is in the United States that doesn't support the United States economic recovery, we should go there for our economic recovery? It's bankruptcy of thoughts. Simple as that. You see, this is what I say, and painfully so, that yes, we have gone to school to learn.
Yes.
To be educated.
That's right.
So we are told many theories. One of such theories is to talk about gross domestic products. And we are told that in order to determine the well-being of our economy, we should use gross domestic product. How is gross domestic product a measure of the health of the economy of Ghana when you do not own the means of production and you do not control it? How can you use something that you don't control to become the measure of your well-being? That gross domestic product you are talking about the total summation of goods and services produced in your country, irrespective of who produced it. So the Chinese are here, they are producing. The Australians are here, they are producing. The Americans are here, they are producing. The Indians are here, they are producing. Anytime they finish producing, they convert the money or whatever they have produced into their dollars, boom, they are out. But you would have added that as the total sum of things that you are producing in your country. So go to the telecom sector that I'm always passionate about. Which of the telecom providers is owned by your country? You sold your Ghana Telecom to Vodafone. They have made all the money they want. Today they are selling to another company called Telcel. Right? You go to MTN, you don't own it. You go to which one? Tigo, you don't own it. You go to Airtel, you go to Glo, you don't own it. But you sit down to calculate the data, the voice calls and messages, and how much money that we spend on just communication alone. It is the new gold. And so when you do, all these monies are calculated. Every Friday, don't you see that an MTN plane comes to Ghana? What do they come to do? They come to collect whatever they have done within the week. They convert it into dollars, boom. They take it to South Africa and probably to Australia. And those who are enjoying the wealth of Africa's difficulties are there playing golf, and we are bending our backs. So we don't own anything. If you come to the mining sector or the extractive sector, we sold our Ashanti goldfields, we sold our Bogosu Prestia goldfields, we sold Akwetia consolidated diamonds. We have sold everything. And our silliness is that, look, when we have access and we sell, we become rich.
Well, we're trying to reindustrialize. That's what the president promised us.
Do you understand? You don't get it. When those countries wanted to industrialize, they did not allow the private sector to take control of their industrialization. The countries invested and took charge. When they reached the apex of the industrialization, they decided to do management buy-in. So if you go to Germany, for instance, and go to their transport sector, the BFAG, it was a state thing. And even now, the state is giving it in bits. British Airways was not formed by private sector. It was formed by the state. Ensure that it reached a certain level of buoyancy. You see, there is a Chinese, or is it a Korean, who wrote a book, Kicking Away the Ladder. And I will urge you to go and read that.
Kicking Away the Ladder.
Kicking Away the Ladder. And he said that the ladder that the developed world used to climb to the top, when they got to the top, and you see the ladder, the African and developing countries that want to use the same ladder to climb to the top, they are kicking away the ladder and say that, oh, don't use that path.
So you are hanging on the ladder. But
so we are there. We cannot get to the top because they have pushed the ladder, and so the more you want to go, you are going to fall. And we still think that we must listen to these institutions to qualify to our salvation.
How do we redirect ourselves back to connect with what Dr. Nkrumah and his peers envisaged for Africa? Because now it looks like we're in a hole.
Well, I think that, I keep saying that Kwame Nkrumah was a prophet. The man foresaw all these things and told us that, look, the enemy without is more dangerous than the enemy within. But the enemy without could not succeed without the collaboration of the enemy within. Do you think that the West, the East, will sit down to see that Africa is able to rally itself together? Because anytime we are able to do so, then they see a threat, even as we see opportunity. And so whatever they will do in order to frustrate us. Hey, I do a bit of farming, as you are aware.
Very much so.
And I feel pain because today, when yearly I have to go to the farm, I have to go and buy seed. I cannot harvest my maize and take some of it and put down, and the following year I'll go and plant. If I plant, I will get zero yield. Somebody somewhere took some intelligence that they will not do farming, but they will control the seed. So in Netherlands and the United States of America, they have formed seed company, and whatever they have done to our seeds, every year when you finish planting, it means that you have to go and buy new seed. And we have scientists in agriculture who are supposed to help us so we can develop. In the days of old, when I was growing as a young man, when we finish harvesting, we just take a portion of the whatever it is and store, and we use that the following farming season to plant. Today you can't do that.
So you don't eat the harvest with the seed.
Today you can't do that. Somebody somewhere is controlling, the maize that we have to plant in Ghana and the rest of the continent. So every year we buy seed.
That's perpetual money for them.
So at the end of the day, they control even our agriculture from like a remote, right? They sit there and they are controlling us. How to go and till our land, you finish tilling the land, but the seed to go and put on the land, you have to depend on them because they must manufacture the seeds or whatever it is and come and give to us to go and plant.
Who do we start tackling for these answers? The younger ones, the middle-aged?
That is if the younger ones are not already corrupted. Because I see that majority of us are eager to get what I call fast material aggrandizement. And so we see people ride in Porsche cars.
Yes.
So we want to be in Porsche cars. We see people live a certain lifestyle, you want to live it. The mega style. As to what will lead us to have a sustainable path, we are not interested. And why? And this is what I say, charity begins at home. So when my son is go to school, and I know I didn't buy you a pencil, and my son returns home with a pencil and an eraser, and you didn't buy, and you don't question where that child got that pen and eraser from. What have you introduced to the child?
An enabler of corruption.
You have started introducing stealing.
That is a viable.
When you say corruption, many people will know. You have already told the person that you must learn how to steal because you did not buy, and you know that the person that did not have the money to go and purchase, but he came with it, and you are fine with it. And so, from our upbringing, we adapt certain tendencies that says that, look, being dishonest is to be smart, right? Yeah, being untruthful means that you are smart. So when you lie, then you come out and say, oh, Charlie, I'm lie or I go. And that means that you are smart. It is those things that we imported and ingrained in ourselves that, in my opinion, is the major nemesis. Why is it that, I don't know what bag she used, but it's not made of the grass that we used to cut on the way, and we molded our grasses? Why is it that our farmers no longer use we call them the Fulani hats?
Right.
We prefer to go and buy what we call the American cowboy hats. It is a certain cultural belief that, look, ours are always inferior. We cannot. Why is it that we don't drink water any longer from the pots that used to be coolest? And anytime we put water in the pot and you go and fetch it for somebody, they will look at you with some
disdain.
Yeah, because why? Your water must come from fridge. It must be packaged in a plastic. And in taking the plastics, we are actually importing certain diseases into ourselves. Because today I see that kenke scarcely is wrapped in
polybags, plastic bags.
No, scarcely is wrapped in the
leaves.
The leaves. We don't eat wache any longer in the leaves. You know, I used to enjoy it when you take the wache and you have to
to open it one side
and then be pulling it from. Today we don't. We prefer the plastics. Some people somehow have taken away our pride, and they are bringing, and why? They are making money out of it. So it is this issue about money speaks and nothing works.
The President of the Republic, who is also a former chair of AU and all of that, President Nana Akufo-Addo, yesterday at the Qatar Economic Forum, he made a statement suggesting that we have to take advantage of the global savings of countries, and that as soon as possible we shall return to the market, literally to borrow. Now, this comment on the day before such a great day like this, what does it tell you?
Well, I think that the entire Africa is beginning to get disappointed in President Akufo-Addo. And not long ago, it was the same PLO Lumumba who said, leading to the 2020 elections or so, that Akufo-Addo is qualified to be in his African cabinet. And you know that he considers me as a small brother. And so I saw the post and I sent it to him to find out whether indeed
he wrote it.
He said those things about Akufo-Addo. And PLO said, yes, he said it. And I said, how on earth can you take a sellout like President Akufo-Addo to say that he is qualified to be in any African cabinet? Then he said, I should go and make my own pronouncement. I said, no. As a professor, you must establish benchmarks, the yardsticks upon which all of us will fit in somebody, or somebody can be qualified. So what are those, so that we can measure our president against those benchmarks to see whether he is qualified? He said no. Then I said, no, President Akufo-Addo is a tribal bigot. So I took a document that I chance called Ajapadie and forwarded it to PLO Lumumba. And PLO didn't speak to me again until I was invited to Uganda to come and do a speech at Chief Justice Kanyehamba's book launch, where he was also invited. So when he got there, as soon as he saw me, he told them that no, they shouldn't invite the two of us to come on the same program.
Why?
And that the way I speak bluntly on issues, he thinks that if I come, then he should not come. But at the end of the day, he told that, Bernard, I read your document and I've changed my mind on the president of Ghana. I'm disappointed. And I'm sure that he has publicly said it of his level of disappointment about, hey, the way President Akufo-Addo, is it not the same President Akufo-Addo who went to the UN and was talking about Africans being proud, and that to be proud we have to stop begging?
That's right.
When he finished, what did the Nigerian senator say? That you have gone to the IMF and the World Bank. You are begging them to give you just 3 billion. And you are telling the rest of the continent that we should stop begging. When you are there on your knees, who are you deceiving? So in similar tone, we have Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta have run down this economy. The major problem we face today is that we are debt-ridden.
But is that why you call him a sellout?
Oh, you don't know Akufo-Addo is a sellout. How can you say that we should not recognize Africa Liberation Day? How can you say that we should not recognize 1st July, which is the actual date that Ghana disassociated itself from colonial yoke? 1st July, because our independence was achieved in series, right? 6th March 1957 was not the apex or the climax of our independence struggle. Even after 6th March 1957, you know that, look, we still had to take instructions on our laws and other things. If we wanted to do anything mega, we needed the approval of the crown. So it was not until 1960 when we became a republic. So 1st July 1960 was the time that Ghana became fully independent. That day, you say that that day is of no consequence to you. So if you don't recognize the day, and don't forget that it is that day that gave us the title president.
Right.
It is that day that gave us the title president. So you are excited to be called president, and you don't want to value the day that gave you and this nation the opportunity to become what we are. You are a sellout.
William.
Yes, Chairman. I have just one question for all of us. When we speak about leadership, we basically look at political leadership, unfortunately, because for any young person in this country, when you are talking about leaders, they won't look at journalists, they won't look at businessmen, they look at politicians. Now, on a day like this, when we are talking about African unity, how do we promote nationalism and Pan-Africanism when our political parties at the national level and within parties like PNC, there's always that disunity at the front of the party? How do we solve these issues? I mean, especially with regard to PNC.
Well, when you mix water and oil, it's difficult for them to mix very well. And so people see political parties not by virtue of the ideology. Why? PNC is by birth a socialist political party. When you see a PNC person being a capitalist, it means that the person is in the wrong move. But the person wants to see PNC as a political route, as a route to which the person can also get to, quote, political limelight. So you find people in the PNC who do not subscribe to the ideals of Kwame Nkrumah.
Right.
They do not subscribe to the ideals of Igala or Liman. They do not subscribe even to the issues of Pan-Africanism and nationalism. But they see that PNC is a political party, so they have come to join. So probably it is the recruitment into these things that we should look at. Because if you see and hear some of our members from our PNC and CPP, they speak, you wonder whether they come from the socialist stock that we are supposed to come from.
Are they sellouts too?
Well, probably they are infiltrators.
Not sellouts.
Yeah, because you see, if the system realizes that, look, this group, why you think that the West like the socialists? For instance, they don't. The Americans cannot sit down and allow socialism to grow. So when they see people with such mentality and they are grouping, they will find people to infiltrate in order to crack you. And you know that in our language they say that it is only when the wall is cracked that a scorpion can find its hiding place.
Yes.
Right? So it is that which is making it difficult. So there are people within our front, and then they are not qualified to be there in terms of their ideological orientation. They are there. And such people can disorganize you in such a manner that you cannot come together. don't forget that our politics have become monetized. You know that. And so you go into an election and you don't have the money to go around to distribute, as it happened in Ukumawu. And those who have money will come and say, well, vote for us, I'll give you 5 cities, I'll give you 10 cities. And you don't have. You are not competent to get their votes. So it is part of the thing. So one, it has to do with the issue of the infiltrators within our rank. Two, it has to do with ego. And sometimes, even amongst ourselves, we don't believe that we are being used by the externals. That is where the danger comes from. There are people outside of our fold who are interested in our disunity. That, why? The current leadership of my party will be, as some called upon, they are fighting now. Then another political party's people will call them and say, we want to talk to you to resolve your differences. They call these people and go and talk to them, and call this other group and talk to them, and leave them at that. When they talk to them, they find a way to support them. So you go and continue your fight. You go and continue your fight. They will not say it.
But it happens.
It happens. The current leadership of my party are being called to come and sit down.
By who?
By other political parties, mega political parties.
NDC, MPP?
Mega political parties.
There are only two.
Yeah, and I know, so that's why I decided to use the word mega. That they call them. And then they'll go and sit down. And then they will tell you, oh, why are you people not working together? Can we understand your issues? How dare another political party that you intend to outstage to want to say that, look, come and sit down and talk and resolve your issues? They are the problem.
Okay.
So I feel bad that, look, the Nkrumah's front has been so disunited that we don't constitute the alternative that we ought to be. If the Nkrumah's front were to be united, I cannot see NDC ever winning political power. I cannot see the MPP winning political power. This country would be the country that we want, because, look, these two political parties know that they have messed up. So if in 2024, a united Nkrumah's political party becomes the next government, who will be in opposition?
Everybody wants to be leader of that united front.
Who will be in opposition?
Everybody
it means
wants
NDC
to be
will be in opposition. MPP will be in opposition.
Right.
You know the kind of eyes they will put on the third political party that has won the elections, because they know what they have done. They know all the loopholes. So when they are in opposition, they will stop you from wrecking this nation. So you are forced to be on the path of the people than to be against the people.
But everybody wants to lead that united
Don't
front.
I am not somebody who opposes leadership. Anybody that wants to be a leader should come and show why you want to be a leader. I think that it is this kind of thought that made people to resent Kwame Nkrumah. Because you remember one of the accusations that Kwame Nkrumah wanted to become president of Africa. Right. So what? John, so if I want to become president of Ghana, so what? I am entitled to have my ambitions, and I'm entitled to go out there to market. Johnny, so if you want to become the head of National Communications Authority, that is you. Any other person that wants should also bring out the alternative views that they want to put across. And so I don't have problem with anybody wanting to contest. Everybody should want to show your interest and tell the people, not use money to influence the people. But once you are able to sell your ideas and the people buy into it, and then they say go and lead, there should not be anything wrong. So I am looking up to you that you will come.
Don't look up to me.
NDC is a social democratic party. Yes. They have some socialist ideologies in there. Why would you all just rally behind the NDC and then just push the Nkrumah agenda?
I don't know how you think, but I would not see original and go for photocopy.
Let's wrap up the conversation.
So socialism is the original. Social democracy is photocopy. Why do you opt for the photocopy?
Oh, but it looks like you are struggling to come together. They already
just take away this mindset. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this studio. If a ballot is here, and we decide that enough of NDC and MPP, and all 5 of us go and vote in the ballot, and we vote for instance, the PNC. When they are counting, what vote will the NDC get?
No, since 92,
They will get zero.
Come together.
But it is a certain mentality that says that if I go and vote for this, I will not make any gains. No, you should go and vote and encourage another person to go and vote, and then we are making the gains.
All right, we'll talk about voting some other time. Let's wrap up the conversation. We can pick up a few calls. William nearly derailed our conversation on African unity brought in NDC and MPP. Let's wrap up this way. Where do we go from here?
I think that we need to expand. Unfortunately, all these things require communications. It requires some resources. Fortunately for us in recent times, the internet has become a very important place to communicate. And so we don't need so much money to be able to sell. That is how come that you can sit here and listen to Lumumba. That is how come you can sit here and listen to Bobby Wine. That is how come you can sit here and listen to Julius Malema, somebody in South Africa or elsewhere is listening to a Bernard Monarh. So obviously we need to identify those people that are of like minds. My brother who is being brutalized in Senegal, Sonko, Ousmane Sonko, is being brutalized. Why? Because he has a different mindset away from those who are the lackeys of the French government. And because of that, the external forces are... So we need to identify these people. Probably just find a way to do internet talks and revitalize the relevance of a united Africa. That is one. Number two is that, look, as I keep saying, an empty sack can never stand. The young people of today have been rendered very poor. They don't have any jobs to do. They don't have any income. And therefore, what is normally happening is that the few who are privileged to be in position will want to use the young people against ourselves. Until and unless we realize that those in the helms of affairs, for instance, somebody like Osafo Mafu will come and tell you that, look, public sector is choked. Yet, because he's privileged, he can get his 2 children to go and work at SNAIT and the National Communications Authority. And you are asked to come and carry his bag. Do you understand the implication? No. So those of us who are the bag carriers, those of us who have been sent to go and throw stones at people who are speaking for us and for our nation's build-up, we have to one day say that enough of carrying your bags. Rally our energies together and push these 2 political parties away.
Thank you very much. Chief Bernard Monarh says there's original. You don't see the original, go and follow fake. Interesting comment there. But thank you very much indeed for spending your morning with us. We're grateful. And we will pick a few calls. But first, here is Bernard Monarh's favorite friend.
We ask ourselves, how can we make this continent a continent which is a magnet, which attracts us and makes us retain our people in this continent? That is our constant struggle. Many are families that are persuading their children, go out there,
knowledge is power.
Go out there into the United States of America and get a second citizenship just in case. Just in case. Why? We must ask ourselves. Because we have not created conditions that make it conducive for us. This is a contradiction of the age-old saying that wherever you go, home is always best. In the minds of most of us, home is not best. And we are gathered here today to consider how we can reverse that anomalous situation. And we can. We are talking about you who are in different sectors of the industry, going out there and rolling up your sleeves and telling this generation and generations yet to be born that it can be done and that it must be done. One of the greatest disadvantages that we have in Africa is that we are always starting things. One generation starts and it ends, another generation starts and it ends. One of the adverts that I love is Johnny Walker, born in 1862 and is still walking strong. And the reason why I love it is because there must have been a succession plan. There was a succession plan. That is why nearly 200 years later, they still claim that they are making the same flavor as it was in 1862. Do we have companies that will go to heaven with us? Of course, the companies will not go. They'll just suffer here, bankruptcy and insolvency and all. These are the questions that we must ask ourselves. And I'm suggesting to us that those of you who are in industry, all of us must have this succession plan. Because that is what leadership is all about. Leadership is about preparing the next generation. Leadership is about creating an environment that ensures that those who come after you are better than you. And there is no greater recompense for a founder than to create an environment where those who are following him or her are going to thrive in a much more robust environment. Today, Africa is asking herself many questions, and these are questions that were asked. They are foundational questions. Foundational questions because when we were fighting to regain our independence, we were making promises to ourselves that we would be in a position to feed ourselves. We would be in a position to exploit our resources. We would be in a position to create our institutions. The question is, are we doing so?
Are we doing so? You tell us what you think. 0592928795 and 0208227290. 0592928795 and 0208227290. Today is AU Day, 60 years on. What do you think? Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
Yes, sir. Talk to me.
This is serious.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's hear you.
African Union or Unity, I don't know if I should speak now because Johnny, when it comes to schools in East Legon, most of them this morning are dressing African, apparel. That is looking beautiful. But my question is, after the celebration, what's next? Are these students being taught, Africa? Are they being given African foods? The schools itself, look what's the state of the schools, the class that they are studying in. Because charity begins at home. If we are talking Africa, we have to talk Ghana, we have to talk Nigeria first. I don't think our leaders are doing much to teach us about Africa, because if you are doing history even at the uni level, most of the things you are being taught, it's about youth. So what is our problem? When do we want to start? Is it about the rhetoric? Is it about like the speeches and then the dinner and then the dance and then the music, and afterwards we have to wait for another year to celebrate Africa again? What are we celebrating?
Okay, what are we celebrating?
Everything from Nama, but nothing, is working.
I hear you.
Good thoughts, but nothing.
I hear you. Thank you so much. What are we celebrating? Fatal, good morning. You are in Kaswa. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Kawula.
Alefe.
Good. Well, Africans, I don't know when we'll grow as people, because we thought we have leaders, but our leaders tend to be beggars. Go to AUNC, it is full of these foreigners, these leaders from the European Union and other people. They are occupying our seat, so-called African Union. What kind of African Union are we having? Our own president told us that Ghana beyond aid. When you tell somebody that beyond aid, you are beyond aid, what does it mean? It means you are not going for aid from somebody. But we have Englishman like Ojo Pankuma will come and interpret English to tell us that what president mean by Ghana beyond aid. See how our leaders across the continent, see how our leaders are. They are just balangating, looking for money for themselves and their family, not African as a whole. You get me? But this time we should have like a common goal instead of one cedi or one currency that we can spend the whole of Africa.
All right.
We don't have such a thing.
Okay.
So we call ourselves what? God forgive us.
Thank you, Fatal. Good morning. And Michael is in Nima. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning, my brother.
Had it all been the case in the African way, I didn't move to do an African Union deal.
Yes, sir.
Let's ask ourselves after this day or after tomorrow, what next? We see our case. Many times we go to school, we have to see another person, we greet a person, we take him to a bag. But it's not in the system nowadays. So that we ask our kids to bring in African wear to school with bags loaded at their back. What is the implication? Please ask the DS or any other person for us.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You too, my brother. Sir Shark is in Kwabenya. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Johnny.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Talk to me. I'm greater than Accra. Talk to me.
Sure. It's been a while.
Charlie, we're inside.
My regards to each and everyone in the studio.
Okay.
Especially Chairman Monarh.
Okay, please speak up for me here.
He's one of the people I really admire. Look to his sister. Again, you ask yourself that African Union Day, is Africans really united? Yes, because if you go to the European Union, they themselves, they are even struggling with the European Union. You understand? And when you look at union is supposed to bring development. But what do we see? Even what do you call it? Country trading is even a problem when it comes to Africa. You understand? And most of the projects in Africa is funded by the European Union and the UN. So what is the union about? Member states in the African Union, the purpose of which it was formed, it is not being made.
Right.
To me, that's what I think.
That's right.
So, although President Kufuor came to take the celebration of just for us to commemorate it, I think that it is not serving its purpose. That is it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Shak. Kosami Sinima, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Kosami, welcome. Talk to me.
Thank you very much. I regard to, Willie and Helen. Look, Johnny, what are we celebrating today? When you help the Europeans to eliminate all those that were trying to put this continent in the right way. The last person that has been taken was Gaddafi. Look at the point when Gaddafi wanted to set up a bank for the Africa, for us to go out of these remote institutions. And we heard them. Colored him, called him a dictator that has turned a desert into a forest. And his people are enjoying. Before a child will be born, a house is there waiting for him. They collect allowances every month, every year from their oil production. And we are here giving loans to African countries. And we help them eliminate all others that are doing well. Thomas Sankara and others. And today we say we are celebrating. What are we celebrating? Come on, look, Johnny, since I started voting since 1969, this is the worst president that I have ever seen.
I hear you, sir.
In this country. And he is not the right person to celebrate this day.
Okay.
It's not the right person. I don't think he's going to say anything good about this nation. When you have run this country down and given a conflicting stories, you have minister in your office telling that we are ready to go to the Western market, and you have the finance minister saying, no, we are not ready yet. We are not ready to go there.
Okay.
And you come back and then reiterate what your minister said who is in your office,
thank
you are ready to go. When the IMF themselves are projecting to as you said on your bike, 2027.
Okay.
Who are you deceiving?
Kosami,
Come on, this president, I think, he does not read. He don't read. He just come out and say anything at all.
Some other people have to also contribute. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Truth is joining us now, but you can also join us on 0592928795 and 0208227290. Good morning, darling.
Sonny, good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am greater than Accra.
Yes, you must be. Please let the man speak. He has a lot on his heart.
But we have to share the
and
time.
happy African Union Day to you, William and Helen. You guys are doing great, Johnny.
Thank you.
It's quite unfortunate. We are celebrating today from what our president said yesterday. With everything Africa has, Kwame Nkrumah said that Africa is not poor. It's the people of Africa that is poor. We are poor in our minds. We have been liberated physically, but our mind is still in bondage. Today we are celebrating the union, not just the people being united, but being united in our minds that we are a great continent. There's nothing we cannot do as Africans. The West, Europe, they want us. They want our land. They want our resources. So how do we go there begging them for aid? We said Ghana beyond aid. We are begging our leaders. Africa is all we have. So please, they should let us realize our potential, and they should let us utilize our potential to the betterment of Africa. Happy African Union Day to every Ghanaian and every African.
Grateful truth. Care. Thank you so much. Papa Bisu, you are our final caller. Good morning.
Yeah, my brother, good morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You see, it is a cause of social comedy. You get it?
I don't.
And then now,
explain. I don't understand.
Oh, instead we have the cash. Another said we have the cash. So we don't need to go anywhere, but we work hard. That was when it was in opposition. I get my point. Now listen to what they're saying now. We have to go for cash. So where is the money? Yet it's a cash social come there. Aside that, Johnny, listen to this thing. The finance minister is saying that he's trying to bring down the debt to 55%. Is that not what he said? But you heard him, or am I wrong, Johnny?
Right. Go ahead, make your point, please.
But the president is saying that was yesterday, that is going out there to go and borrow. So who is advising the president? Your finance minister is going left, then you, the president, you are going right. So why are you getting your advice from Mr. President?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Papa Bisu.
They are totally confused. In a confused state, my brother. Confused state. These people should be kicked out of government come 2024 general election. Thank you very much, my brother.
I hear you. Thank you so much indeed. Papa Bisu is certainly not happy about it. We're wrapping up the conversation this morning.
Africa is rich and not poor. Africa has immense actual and potential wealth: gold, diamond, copper, manganese, bauxite, iron ore, uranium, asbestos, chrome, cobalt, a host of other minerals.
We're wrapping up the conversation. This is our closing song. Bonner, what did you want to say about this song? Yes, so my bro, for so many.
And I think that Almanziba did a great job. He spoke in Dagbani, in Hausa, in Twi, and in English, just telling us that we worship and idolize the white man's God and the white man's everything, and we despise our own. And it is that which I think on an Africa Union Day like this, we should begin to look into Africa and admire the African thing, so that we don't get up and go to Israel and go and bring a stone and come and demolish buildings here and say we want to do a national cathedral. There are gods in Ghana.
Yeah, firing shots. Good morning, Bernard, Monarh, Helen. We have to go.
We do.
William will ask the question, then he'll cause trouble and will sit back quietly as if he has not done anything. We have to go.
We don't have a proverb from William today.
Chairman gave us one.
Okay.
But William has not given us.
I gave you one in the morning.
Which one?
I said that if you are a bird and you fly from the earth and you land on an anthill,
on the ground.
You are still on the ground.
You know, he was trained by ABF.
Black Rasta is up next with the Ever Blend, the king of Kuchoko music. Oh my God. Oh my God. So much energy from 2 to 10. Or 10 to 2. Oh man. We'll be on from 10 a.m. all the way to 2. African history class, Kokushonemo, the Black Points. Think of all the segments.